Welcome to the Daily MBA, where business wisdom is served fresh and fast, straight from one of the top MBA programs in the world. I'll give you summaries of my lectures and readings, as well as the most important insights gained from an MBA, so you can apply all of this knowledge in every business. Let's get started. Today, I'll continue talking about possible sources of PPPs. But this one's going to seem a little ambiguous because this resource is going to be expanding your firm. And so for this, I'm going to go back to the theory of the firm, and I'm going to study 4 types of theories of the firm so you can understand when it is best to expand these boundaries of a firm or leave the firm alone. And what would this translate into basically if you're outsourcing something or doing it inside your firm? This is going to be one of the most strategic decisions that you can take as a company, but it has to be a very thought decision because the firm boundaries basically imply that firms aren't needed for coordination. If you look today in the supermarket and you want to buy bananas, you can probably get one banana for less than 50 cents. And what does this mean? It means that 50 cents is enough for transporting that banana from somewhere like Colombia, where one of the farmers was growing up this tree and watering it and then cutting out the bananas. And 50 cents is going to be enough for making all the players on the market happy. Why would we have a firm be the intermediary of this? When you're trying to ship something, it's going to cost you way more, even between the same city. So firms aren't really the ones that are needed for coordination. Markets are very efficient and can do this alone. So why should a corporation do things internally instead of just using the market? How do we justify the existence of a firm and its boundaries? Because as I just put it with a banana, probably everyone should be better off doing the things outside and individually. Well, this is not the case. And we're going to see today what things should firms do internally and what things should they leave to do in the market and leave the market to be efficient. But for taking this decision, instead of analyzing one example over and over again, I'll just explain the 4 theories of the firm that we can see nowadays. In the first theory, it's going to be called the transaction costs theory. And this one wants to explain why firms should merge with other things. So either that is suppliers or customers or other things in their chain. Firms should merge if 3 things are true. First, if there's one concept that's very weird, there are high AQRs. And AQRs means appropriable quasi-rents, which means there are excess profits generated by that particular relationship, and those are going to be higher than working separately with each other. So you can consider this, if you've been working in your company for a while now, you do perceive it. It's better working with one relationship in particular than just with anyone. So this is what we call high AQRs. These profits in a particular relationship are better than just working separately with someone else. First thing that's needed. Second thing is that you have unprogrammed adaptations. And this is going to mean that the contract is kind of incomplete and it allows for renegotiation. So again, you can think about this in your job. Probably in your job description, you only had a certain amount of hours, a certain amount of pay, and that's it. You didn't have a tailored responsibility thing because that is how companies are adding value. They can ask you to do one thing, then maybe the other thing they're asking you to do this. They're switching up projects, they're changing their vision, their products, their strategy. So they need this flexibility, and this can only be achieved through unprogrammed adaptations. And it's the same even if you're an employee, then if, for example, you're a supplier and you also need this flexibility with other people because incomplete contracts will allow for renegotiation, and this is extremely valuable. And the third thing that's needed, we already know, high AQRs, the possibility of negotiation with the unprogrammed adaptations, The third thing would be haggling or renegotiation costs are going to be higher if you don't integrate. So basically, if we don't do this merging, it's going to be more costly for us to do this renegotiation costs or haggling costs in the future or with someone else. So if these three are true, then a firm should expand its boundaries. Either that is with its employees that now should become not contractors but part of the firm, or maybe with suppliers. Let's say anything. If these three are true, high AQRs, high in programmed adaptions, and high haggling negotiation costs, it's going to lead a firm to merge. Now, there's a second theory that's called the property rights theory. And this one is going to imply not if a firm should merge or not, but who should be the asset owner. And the main takeaway from this theory is that asset owners should be whoever has the more power to create useful investments. So if there are high AQRs and a contract is incomplete, which are the two main elements that we had before, in the sense that there are mutually useful investments that one of us can do and the other can't, here's going to be the important part. The other part gets to keep the asset if you can do better investments than the first part. So the owner of the asset should have a residual control that gives them more bargaining power and more surplus only if they are able to do more mutually useful investments. And so this makes total sense. The person owning an asset should be the one that is interested and has the capability to make it grow, make it better all the time. And this can be seen, for example, in hotels. So hotels can be usually owned by the government, owned by a company. So when should you try expanding the firm's boundaries? Why should you try acquiring? For example, McDonald's is pretty famous because some people say their business is not really hamburgers, their business is real estate. When did they decided to do this asset ownership? Probably because they were analyzing this theory of the firm. If they decided that they could make more useful investments on these properties than the person they were renting from, then this would give them the residual control and more bargaining power and more future surplus if they were the owners. But then that may not be the case for other companies. Other ones may prefer to just rent out their local and send whatever product they have. So here it's important for analyzing who should be the asset owner. The third theory of the firm is going to be called the resource view theory. And here it's going to be stating that firms should merge with a resource owner if, first, one resource is very hard to hire or to buy. And this is going to mean that a resource is immobile. And then the second one means that firms should also merge with the owner if the resource is hard to copy, so it's inimitable. No one can replicate it. And lastly, it's that even if you don't know what or why it works, let's say that resource for the other firm, you do understand the logic of why it would work for and why it should be useful for your firm. And so this is one of the important things that's happening, for example, with Disney brand or something like that. What Disney has as a brand, it's very hard to buy. You can't really buy the love that kids have for this brand. It's also extremely hard to copy. It's, we could say, not able to be replicable by any other company. And the thing is, we don't even know why. There's some kind of magic, but we do know it works. And if it works for the other firm and you understand the logic behind it, then maybe you should be partnering up, in my case, following up my example with Disney, if this is giving you a potential upside. If you do understand that this thing would bring you benefits. So the resource view theory is going to be specifically on any resource owner. and why should you expand with that resource owner. The last theory of the firm, it's going to be called the knowledge-based theory. And this one, it's going to be, as the name says it, related to merging with someone that has the knowledge, and it's going to be able to solve complex problems in your area. So it's kind of an extension of the resource one, but here it will imply that if someone can diagnose problems in your firm with their existing knowledge, this is going to be a source of added value. And it is also going to be a source of strategic advantage because it's not going to be able to be copied. It's also going to be inimitable, and it's going to be mobile in the sense that you can't buy it. So bringing that knowledge is also something very powerful, and that's why it's similar to the resource view, because one of the things that you could bring are resource, or the other thing, basically knowledge. So 4 theories, but look more like 3. First one, deciding if firms should merge or not. The second one, who should own the asset or not. And then, if you should merge with the knowledge or resource owner. All of this is going to be very important when a firm is deciding when to merge, when to expand, when to do things internally, externally, hire contractors, hire employees, and all of these decisions that you have to take as a manager. So I hope the theory of the firm better helps you understand how you can take these decisions in a more strategic way.